My boyfriend, 28 male, commanded the room at a wedding, and I, 24 female, was so turned on. My boyfriend, 28 male, and I, 24 female, have been together for over a year now, and we recently attended a wedding where I was the maid of honor. I had to give a speech, but when my turn came, the room was loud, people talking, laughing, not really paying attention. I could feel my anxiety building. My legs were shaking, and I could hear my heartbeat pounding in my ears. I am naturally shy, but for my best friend, I knew I had to push through, even if my voice trembled. My boyfriend noticed immediately. Without hesitation, he stood up and in a calm but firm voice said, "Quiet down." Just like that, the entire room went silent. Everyone turned to face me, and suddenly I had their full attention. I was stunned, completely in awe of how effortlessly he took control. In that moment, he had my back, and it made me feel so incredibly grateful. It was not just about the speech. It was about how he stood up for me without hesitation, making sure I felt heard and seen. After the room quieted down, he gave my hand a reassuring squeeze, and suddenly I felt a surge of confidence. I gave my speech, and it went perfectly. When I sat back down next to him, I couldn't stop smiling, thinking about how much that moment meant to me. He did not just help me, he made me feel valued and protected. His calm, confident, and authoritative presence had me completely mesmerized. The rest of the day, I could not stop staring at him. I was in awe, more in love than ever. He just laughed and hugged me, saying it was no big deal and that he was so proud of me. And for just a moment, I found myself wishing it had been my wedding instead. When we got home that night, I could not keep my hands off him. I made sure he knew just how much I truly appreciated him. I had a relationship with my mother's husband, and now I can't get out of bed. I had an affair with my stepfather. Throughout my teenage years we were involved. I can't remember when it started or even how. All I knew was my whole world was him. My parents divorced when I was an infant, both remarrying when I was around 7 or 8, and I stayed living with my mom and stepfather. My mother and I have never been close, probably because I remind her too much of my father. She never wanted children, and due to this, she was quite neglectful and cold. Her relationship with my stepfather was extremely volatile, and they argued constantly. I don't really remember much from before I became a teenager, only glimpses that come to me during therapy, but the facts are that we had a relationship until I was 20 and nobody knows. I can't remember the first time we were intimate. I can't remember any of it up until I was around 13, but I know it was frequent. When my mom was at home, he'd drive to my school where I was allowed out at lunch and study periods. We would go to abandoned car parks to have physical interactions in his car, and then he would drop me back to school before my next lesson. Sometimes we'd drive to cities away from where we lived to spend time together, but most of our encounters were in my bedroom when my mom was asleep or out with her friends. I always felt guilty about what we were doing, but I would have done anything for him. I felt like he was the only thing I had. He used to tell me the things our bodies could do together were beautiful, so how could that be wrong? He said one day, we were going to run away together so we could be together properly. When I became older, things changed and he started being more forceful. I will not go into detail, but he was violent and careless, and it took a toll on my body. I told him we needed to stop, but he said he could not cope without me. He said I was his only reason to keep on living. I moved out from living with my mother and stepfather when I turned 18 because the guilt was eating me alive. We kept in contact via text, but I only saw him in person occasionally after I left. A year or so afterward, he was dismissed for sexually harassing and assaulting a woman in the building where he worked. When my mother heard about this, they separated and he quickly moved abroad. After I found out what he had done, I lost it completely. I always believed he was a good person, and I never blamed him for anything that happened between us. He looked after me and made sure I had everything I needed. I have been in therapy for 5 years, so I know what happened was wrong, but I cannot bring myself to tell anyone in the family about it. It took 3 years of intense therapy for me to even be able to consider using the phrase abuse. Everything we did, I wanted to do. It has been a few years since he left. I have been in psychiatric hospitals, rehabilitation centers, and countless therapy groups, and nothing will shift the guilt and shame I feel. My mother lives by herself now. She struggles with alcohol and other destructive behaviors. Most days, I cannot get out of bed. I cannot shower with the bathroom lights on or even let another person anywhere near me. I see all the other people my age moving on with their lives, and I am stuck. I feel disgusting, and like I need to be punished for the things I did. I lied to my mother, my friends, and my entire family for years. If I had stayed with him or said something about what we were doing, he would have never hurt the woman at his work. If I had just said something, none of this would have happened. And the worst part is I miss him. I miss him so much it hurts. I have nobody to tell about this, so I thought a post might help. I am sorry for everything. I really am. He was gorgeous, talented, my first love, and the biggest mistake of my life. He was everything people swoon over: tall, attractive, insanely charismatic, and a musician. Women noticed him, a lot, and I did too years ago when we were young. He was my first love, the one that felt electric. We had that intensity, that chemistry, that pull that made everything else disappear. And so I believed in us. I stayed through the lies, the distance, the emotional neglect, because I thought that kind of love had to mean something. But it didn't. It started unraveling the way these things often do, quietly. A message from another woman, then her husband. She had been exchanging intimate messages with him for months. Videos, messages, photos. I found more. Other women, romantic messages, secret subscriptions. It didn't mean anything, he said again and again. It meant everything to me. We had a family, a life, and I kept forgiving, kept trying. But behind the tears and promises, there was no change. Our intimacy faded. I touched myself next to him while he lay still. He watched, disconnected, numb. I begged for closeness, for honesty, for something real. Instead, I got excuses, creams hidden in travel bags, and receipts for content from strangers while we were struggling financially. And then Christmas Eve, another woman, another thread in the same pattern. That night, something in me snapped. Not in anger, in clarity. I had spent years trying to be enough for a man who was never capable of truly seeing me. I had let love blind me to reality. And the reality was brutal. He was beautiful on the outside, but emotionally empty, deceptive, and incapable of respecting anyone, including himself. So here's what I need every woman, especially younger girls chasing charm and looks, to understand. Looks fade, charisma lies. Chemistry doesn't equal character. Go for the man who shows up when no one is watching, who values trust over temptation, who makes you feel safe in your own skin. Don't romanticize the tortured artist, the mysterious guy with the smirk and the wandering eyes. He's not deep, he's dangerous to your peace. I have a career, I have independence, I have rebuilt myself from nothing, and I will never let someone dim my worth again, no matter how pretty the package. Learn from me. Don't confuse intensity with love. And don't ever assume beauty means value. It doesn't. My mom is having an affair. My parents have been married for 16 years. They used to get along pretty well until recently. My mom used to bring up a male colleague's name in a few conversations, and I did not think much of it. My dad travels frequently because of his job, and when he is gone, my mom locks the room door and says she has a meeting to attend, staying in the room for hours. One time, my mom forgot to lock the door, and I saw her on FaceTime with the male colleague. He immediately hung up, and my mom also turned off her phone. That's when I knew something was wrong. I saw his name saved under Love when I was using my mom's phone. My mom has her Face ID enabled on the app she uses to talk to that guy, so I can't really open it and read the direct messages. The guy lives in another city. My mom says that she has some work in the city he is in and often goes there. I'm not sure if she genuinely has a meeting there or if she is just going to meet him. Today, I saw her phone unattended and opened Instagram to read their direct messages. I was horrified, and my suspicions were confirmed. She told him that if they weren't married, things would have been so much easier. My dad is a really nice guy. He's had a very difficult life, and I am scared that if I tell him, it's going to hurt him a lot. But if I don't say anything, his entire life will be ruined. I feel like every time he tries to talk to my mom, she is always cold to him. I want to confront her, but I am too scared and I have no proof. My dad is also out of town for more than a week. I have no idea what to do. TIFU, by making my girlfriend think I was cheating on her, when I was actually planning a surprise. Alright, this actually happened over the weekend, and I am still a bit shaken and relieved writing this. So my girlfriend, 25-year-old female, and I, 26-year-old male, have been together for 3 years, and I wanted to do something really special for her birthday coming up. I decided I would plan a surprise party and propose to her at the party in front of our friends and family. Ring ambitious, I know. The past few weeks, I have been sneaking around organizing everything. I bought a ring, collaborated with her best friend, and even had secret calls with her parents to get their blessing. I was so excited and sure it would be an amazing surprise. The mistake began with all the secretive behavior this required. I am usually an open book, but suddenly I was hiding my phone, texting people behind her back, and making up weak excuses to leave the house. Need to run an errand, bye. I thought I was being clever to avoid spoiling the surprise. In reality, I was acting very suspicious. Her best friend, who was helping me plan, messaged me something like, "Can't wait to see you to go over the final details," winking face, while my girlfriend was borrowing my phone to play a song. I snatched the phone back so fast and pretended it was a work message. Face with rolling eyes mistake. At that point, I had officially raised every possible suspicious red flag. I could feel her glancing at me suspiciously for the rest of the night. Over the next few days, I noticed my girlfriend becoming quiet and anxious. I tried to play it cool, but I was often rushing off to take calls from the party venue or whispering to her friend about party preparations. She started asking me strange questions like, "Is everything okay between us?" And I just nervously laughed it off, which only made me look guiltier. I was so close to the finish line, so I figured it would be fine once I pulled off the surprise. If I could avoid looking like an unfaithful boyfriend for 2 more days. Well, last Friday it all came crashing down. I came home and found my girlfriend in tears holding my iPad. Pro tip, if you have Apple devices, they all sync your messages. She had seen some of my message exchanges with her best friend about the plan and keeping it secret. One out-of-context line from me said, "I can't wait to finally do this. It's so hard to keep lying to girlfriend." I meant lying to her about why I was busy, but oh my goodness, out of context it looked terrible. She confronted me sobbing, thinking I was having an affair with her best friend or something. She was shaking. My heart absolutely dropped into my stomach, and I started panicking, trying to explain, "It's not what you think." It took me a solid minute to get her to stop yelling and listen. I was literally on my knees, not exactly how I planned this, trying to calm her down and tell her the truth. I said, "I swear, I was lying because I am planning a surprise for you. Please just open that closet." She was confused and still sniffle crying and opened the closet, where I had hidden the birthday gift bag with the ring box inside. She turned back to me and I just blurted out everything. The party, the proposal, how her friend and parents were in on it, and that I am not very good at being sneaky. She went from angry crying to shocked crying, and finally started happy crying once it all made sense. I ended up officially proposing to her right then and there on our living room floor, because why not at that point? Not the grand romantic moment I envisioned, but the ring made it onto her finger. Partying face. She said yes, through lots of tears and a half laugh at how absurd the whole situation was. We just sat on the floor hugging each other, both kind of trembling, her from the emotional roller coaster I put her on, and me from narrowly avoiding complete disaster. Later on, when things calmed down, she did kind of scold me. "You silly man, I really thought you were cheating. You scared me." Fair. I feel like a total fool for putting her through that. We also had a laugh when she realized her best friend's winking face texts were about cake and decorations, not anything scandalous. In the end, we decided to still go through with the birthday party that night and act like the proposal was a surprise in front of our friends. It was awkwardly hilarious because everyone but her thought she was genuinely surprised when I got down on one knee. They had no idea she had discovered everything beforehand. We have not told that part of the story to our families yet. That little fiasco is just between us and, well, now the internet. All my friends are turning into Nazis, and I can't stand it anymore. I'm a 30-year-old white guy. I just want to chill, play games, and watch movies with my boys. But the older we get, the more of them out themselves to me as racist, homophobic, or just straight-up Nazis. I'm not talking edgy humor. I'm talking about stopping our Mario Kart game to go on a 30-minute tirade about how race mixing is bad, or that all gay and trans people are all secretly child molesters. They weren't always like this. When we were kids, we all agreed that bigotry like this was for stupid old people. I feel like it's really kicked in the last few years. I've heard of people getting more conservative as they age, but I never imagined it'd be like this. And now I'm the only one left in the friend group who believes ludicrous things like gay people should be allowed to get married, and black people are human beings. I feel like a crazy person and don't know what to do or where to go from here. I've argued, debated, and shown evidence until I'm blue in the face, but I should have known from the start that was pointless. The worst part is they're technically good friends. They've supported me, laughed, cried, grieved with me through every up and down through my life. Some of them would take a bullet for me without a second thought. I used to think I was the luckiest guy in the world, but I just can't take it anymore. I feel like my soul is dirty after every hangout, listening to this vile shit coming out of their mouths. I know I gotta walk away, but it's tough. I've known these people since I was a child, and being 30 having to start completely fresh and make new friends just sounds impossible. Shit sucks. I just wish it didn't turn out this way. I'm starting to believe men just can't stand women they don't find attractive. Today is my birthday, and my brother's friend wished me a happy birthday by asking, "How old are you today?" I jokingly responded, 6 years to 30. His reply, "Wow, only that? I thought you were older." Keep in mind, he already knew my age since he is friends with my brother. Then he started saying he thought I was 33 or 34. Later, when talking to my sister, who is older than me and considered conventionally attractive, he said, "I actually thought you were younger, like 20 or 18. So he clearly knew my age but still made a point to say I look older while implying she looks younger. This is not the first time he has made backhanded comments like this. He often finds ways to subtly put me down, implying I look older, less attractive, or less intelligent, while elevating my sister or my friends. I know I am not imagining this because my brother himself admitted to reading content from so-called pickup artists and using negging on women. I am starting to think he and his friends are so conditioned by this mindset that they even do it to me, his own sister, without a second thought. And he does not care that his friends do it to me either. It is not just him, though. This pattern keeps happening with different men. At a restaurant recently, a guy was talking to my sister about a show, and I casually mentioned that I was going. He immediately said, "Oh, if you are going, I won't go," then laughed it off. I barely even know this guy. My sister and friend, who were sitting at the table, agreed that he was rude but said I was taking it too seriously. That only made me even more frustrated because they are conventionally attractive. They simply do not understand. Another time, I was talking about how I would be working with a guy at my job, and another man chimed in with, "Poor him." Not even in a joking tone, he just straight up sounded condescending. I do not think I am rude, and I rarely even speak in these situations. But somehow, it is always men making these kinds of comments toward me, and every time I call it out, I am told I am too sensitive or it was just a joke. The people who say that are always the ones who never get treated this way themselves. What makes it worse is that my sister and my female friends, who are considered conventionally attractive, never receive these kinds of comments. It is always me. When in a group, these men talk amongst themselves, excluding me. When they do acknowledge me, they avoid making eye contact. It feels like they go out of their way to make sure I know they do not find me attractive, almost as if they need to put me in my place. Like they have to make it abundantly clear that I am not desirable, so I never dare to think otherwise. I do not even care about being attractive to them. I just want to exist in peace without being disrespected. But instead, I constantly feel like I am being reminded that I am not attractive, and that, apparently, means I do not deserve basic decency. The only person who truly understands this is another woman I know who is overweight, but honestly very beautiful. She is the only one who relates to these experiences, which, to me, is self-explanatory. It is making me feel so bitter because no one else seems to notice this pattern. I hate that this is making me resentful toward men in general, but how am I supposed to feel when this keeps happening?